charge of a couple different things. And one of the things that I do in the company is acquisition. So I'm out, like Adam said, making offers on the properties, building relationships with the REO agents. Me along with Mike, who's also going out there checking out the properties. So I know the market really well because every day I'm in it looking at comparable sales. We had a question about how we value the properties, and that's something that I do. Is I look, when I want to figure out what a property is going to be worth when it's fixed up, I go out there, look at what all the houses around there are worth to figure out a value. And so I'm very knowledgeable of the Jacksonville market. And I'm really excited to tell you guys about the Jacksonville market because of the amazing, amazing opportunity that exists here today. Adam is telling me that my mic is not on. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, sir. You're going to have to turn it on.
Is that working now, guys? Are we on? Are we on? Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. I gotta hit the on button.
Cash flow!
I'm not the tech guy in the office, so I just buy the houses. All right. So I think that, let's see a raise of hands. How many people here believe that real estate is a key to your financial future? Right? Everyone. I think everyone agrees with that. So now you're faced with a decision where do you buy? You know you want to buy real estate, but now you have to figure out where. Like the old adage goes, location, location, location is the key to being successful in real estate. And I'm going to tell you guys why Jacksonville is the best market in the country to be investing in cash flowing real estate. The best market, bar none. And to tell you about Jacksonville, I'm going to start you off with a story about Jacksonville. What's going on here, guys? There we go. Page down. More technical difficulties. There we go. I'm going to tell you a story about San Diego. All right. Now, why am I going to tell you a story about San Diego? What does San Diego have anything to do with Jacksonville, right? Well, about a year ago, I was out in San Diego speaking at a real estate conference. So I went out there for 4 days to help put on a rehab boot camp that fortune builders, we talked about earlier, Stan Melrell and Paula Sajan from Flip This House, they put on these real estate conferences. So I flew out to San Diego to help them. And part of this boot camp, part of this real estate conference was we went out to the properties that they were rehabbing and selling in San Diego. They were showing us how they do this. And the market out there is really, like the houses are actually kind of similar to what we have here. You can see here's us out at one of the properties, showing about the repairs. There's us in the classroom. I taught a class about how we're buying REOs. Now there's one big difference between real estate in San Diego and real estate in Jacksonville, right? Here's 2 houses. One house in California that we went and saw on this real estate boot camp, and another house in Jacksonville. They're pretty similar, right? You got one house, 1,000 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath. The other one, 1,200 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath. Look about the same, built about the same time, 1970s houses. What do you guys think the main difference is between these 2 houses? Price, right? Let's hear what we got here. Who wants to guess what the price of the house in California was? $480. $350. $189. $351. Closer to the $480. Anyone want to guess what the house in Jacksonville was? There we go. $517,000 for the house in California. $74,000 for the house in Jacksonville. Almost identical houses, right? Now, what happens when you buy a house that's $517,000? What goes up? Your rent, not so much. That's the thing. Your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, all of those go up a lot. Your rent will go up, but not nearly as much as your expenses. So when you buy a house that's $517,000, you have much higher expenses. 6 times as much. Your mortgage payment, your taxes, your insurance are all going to be 6 times as much as the property in Jacksonville. Now, does your rent go up by 6 times? No, it doesn't. Now, the name of the game in investing in cash flowing real estate, in income producing real estate, is cash flow. That's what you're looking for. We've talked about it a bunch. Cash flow is the difference between what you're getting in rent and what your expenses are. So if you're getting $1,000 in rent and your mortgage, taxes, and insurance and property management are $700 total, then you have $300 cash flow. It's the difference between your rent and your expenses. Now you want lower expenses and higher rent to give yourself better cash flow. And one of the key things that you need to look for in a great cash flowing market is low prices. Because like we talked about, the lower the price, the lower your expenses, the higher your cash flow is going to be. And you can get that in Jacksonville. As you guys can see here, cash flow, that's what you're looking for. You guys can see here, the median home price in Jacksonville, $137,000. The median home price in the rest of the country, $172,000. So you're looking at Jacksonville is about 21% undervalued compared to the rest of the market. Now, what we had heard earlier was, somebody guessed that, well, the rent is going to go up when you have a $500,000 house versus a $74,000 house. And that is true, but not to a point. Rents don't move in a linear relationship with home prices. That house will probably rent out for something like $2,000, whereas that $74,000 house rents out for $975. So when you have your values going up, your rents don't go up as much. Normally when your rents go down, when your values go down, your rents go down too. As you guys can see here in Jacksonville, the median rent is $903 versus for the USA, a median rent of $842. So even though your values are 21% lower, your rents are 7% higher. And what does that mean? Exactly, you get much better cash flow. The underlying fundamentals of this market give lower prices and higher rents, which is not a normally occurring market. It's a very rare market where you can find lower prices and higher rents. Now the question that normally somebody shouts out at me now is why? Why does this happen? Why do you have lower prices and higher rents in Jacksonville? Now, like I alluded to earlier, it's about the underlying fundamentals of the market. Too far. All right. It's about supply and demand. That's what changes prices. You get higher prices, higher demand, lower supply. As you can see, in Jacksonville, 34% of the residents here rent. 34%, whereas the rest of Florida, on average, 25% of residents rent. So you have a much higher demand in Jacksonville than in the rest of Florida. Supply, the average vacancy rate in Jacksonville, 10%. Average vacancy rate for the rest of Florida, 16%. So going back to that supply and demand, you have higher demand, lower supply, which raises prices. So despite the fact that the median price here is lower, which means all your expenses are lower, your rents are higher, and your cash flow goes up. So in Jacksonville, you have awesome, awesome cash flow. Sorry guys, this thing is killing me. Cash flow, like it's coming out of a fire hose. Awesome cash flow. He sends these checks time and time again. All right, so we know, now you guys understand why the Jacksonville market is such a great place to be investing in real estate. Because you got the lower prices, higher rents, awesome cash flow. Now, I said this is a very rare market. You can find other markets like this in some other places in the country that we're going to talk about. Now, if you have two markets where you can get the same cash flow, how do you pick which one you want to invest in? So I'm going to say again that the only reason why you want to be buying income-producing properties is for cash flow. So there is no other reason. 99.9% of why you want to buy a house is the income that it produces. So even if it never goes up in value, you're still getting that income. You're still getting your return. But if you have two properties that have identical cash flows in two different markets, how do you pick which market you want to invest in? Future appreciation. Exactly. Potential for appreciation. Now, you don't want to count on appreciation. But over time, is appreciation something that will happen? Yes, appreciation will happen. Because the dollar inflates, and more people are born, and real estate will go up in value. Now, you don't want to count on it. You don't want to make a buying decision based on it. You want to buy your properties as if you're thinking they are never going to appreciate. But appreciation will happen. And if you have two properties that are identical cash flows, you would want to pick the one that is in the market with the greater potential for appreciation. Now, what leads to potential for appreciation? Supply and demand.
One of the things that you have to take in concert to the growth of that vicinity or that city that you're looking at, the job market, all the economic activities around it.
Exactly. The first thing, which of course is related to supply and demand, is population growth. So the more people you have coming to an area, the more demand for housing in that area. It's pretty simple. And Florida, and Jacksonville specifically, have had amazing, amazing population growth over the past 10 years. As you can see, here's a picture of the Midwest US, which is a place where you can get comparable cash flows to Jacksonville. Places like Tennessee, Indiana, Memphis, Indianapolis, those cities, you can find comparable cash flows. Low growth, slow growth Midwestern states. Now, you guys are looking up here. Where would you want to live? Which would you pick? Number 1 on the left or number 2 on the right?
Number 2.
Number 2, right? Everyone would. And that and that's what everyone thinks. Everyone's going to want to move to the beach, to Jacksonville, over these slow growth Midwestern states. So the natural amenities that the area has encourage population growth. Everyone else thinks the same way you guys do. Here's a really powerful stat. Well, the nation as a whole grew by 9.7%. The number of Sunshine State residents surged by 17.6%, as 2.8 million people put down stakes here between 2000 and 2010. So even in, amidst the worst real estate market in the past 80 years, still people were flocking to Florida because of all those natural amenities. You don't have to pay income tax. You have the beaches, you have the great weather. So a lot of people are still moving to Florida, and Jacksonville as a whole. Because Jacksonville has all these other amenities. You have the beach. You have a professional football team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, which sold out last year. Which is awesome. Everyone give it up for the Jacksonville residents selling out the Jaguars. Hopefully we'll have a football season this year so we can go to the games. You have the river in downtown. Here's a picture of the St. John's Town Center, which is this destination shopping center off of St. John's Bluff, where now people are coming from South Georgia, from Lake City, from Orlando even for the shopping. We got Gucci and Apple and all these amazing stores. So Jacksonville has a ton of amenities that are making people want to move here, that are eventually going to increase the real estate values. In addition, as we alluded to earlier, in addition to the great natural amenities, the other reason people are going to want to move to an area is jobs. People aren't going to move to a place if they can't get work. And while the Florida economy has been, not that great recently, Jacksonville has had a very strong economy compared to the rest of Florida. The number one city, who can guess what the number one city in unemployment rate is in Florida right now? So they have the lowest unemployment rate in Florida. Lowest unemployment rate in Florida for big cities. No, it's Tallahassee. Why is that? Government jobs. Even though the economy's down, no one in government loses their jobs. Guess what the number 2 city, the number 2 large city in Florida is? Jacksonville. Because in addition to all these awesome, we have 8 Fortune 1000 companies here. We have the port, which is getting enlarged to take on these Panamax ships. In 2014, we got a bunch of Japanese companies that are opening up large operations up at the ports. We have all these companies. Deutsche Bank just they're planning on moving part of their business downtown, creating 200 new jobs. There's a lot of private jobs going on here, in addition to all of the government jobs that we have here that have kept that unemployment low, despite the fact that it's very high in the rest of Florida. You have NAS Jax and Mayport, 2 huge Navy bases. You have the Duval County school system, and also the Jackson, Florida government. These are the 4 largest employers in Jacksonville. Because we have this strong government base, combined with a very strong private sector, it gives us a hedge against when the economy's bad and a great potential upside for when the economy is good. Make sense? Awesome. So you got the strong economy. We're talking about appreciation right here. And here I'm showing you guys what the appreciation has actually been in Jacksonville over the past 30 years. Jacksonville has appreciated 0.74% more than the rest of the country. over the past 30 years. Now, does that seem like a lot? 0.74? It doesn't seem like that much, right? Like, who cares about 0.74? Well, if you bought a house in 1980 in Jacksonville versus buying a house in any town USA, your property in Jacksonville is worth $82,000 more. Does 0.74 matter? Yeah. And who wouldn't mind an extra $82,000? I know I wouldn't, right? So that's the key about it. If you have, once again, I want to stress, cash flow is the most important thing. Really, it's the main thing. But if you have identical cash flows in two markets, you want to go with one with a higher potential for appreciation. Now, I'm talking a lot about Jacksonville. You guys learned a lot about Jacksonville? Great stats, right? Now, you might be thinking that I'm pitching Jacksonville because I have an ulterior motive. You guys think that? Do I have an ulterior motive? Of course I do. I want to sell houses. Would it make you guys feel better if there were some other people who told you Jacksonville was great besides me? Sure. Probably? Sure. No? All right. How about Personal Real Estate Investor Magazine? Personal Real Estate Investor Magazine did an article on the top 10 high turnaround markets. This article came out in September 2010, I believe. So they did a study, picked all the markets in the U.S., and they picked the top 10 they said had the best potential for appreciation in the future. Guess what number Jacksonville was? Number 4. Out of all of the markets in the country, Jacksonville was the 4th best as far as the turnaround market, as far as potential for increased appreciation in the future. Now the other 3, where are these other markets? They're in high-price markets. California and Maryland, where you can't get these cash-flowing properties. So once again, this is why I want to stress where Jacksonville is the best place in the country to be investing in cash-flowing real estate in today's market. So, you guys ready for a quiz? Has everyone been paying attention? Have I been boring anyone? No one? Just Adam in the back, jerk. All right. So what leads to cash flow? What are the two? Okay, let me rephrase that question. Got a lot of blank stares. What are the two main factors? The number one factor to getting high cash flow? Low prices, right? You need low expenses. What's number 2? High rents, right? Now, that's the first thing you want to look at when you're investing in a market for income-producing properties. What's the second thing you want to look at when you're investing in a market for income-producing properties? Potential for appreciation. What influences potential for appreciation? Population growth, jobs, the economy. Now, what is the best place in the country for the combination of high cash flows and potential for appreciation? Jacksonville, Florida. All right. Does anyone have any questions specifically about Jacksonville? About my presentation? No? I got rid of all the questions. All right, awesome. Did everyone learn a lot about Jacksonville? Some pretty cool stuff, right? I actually did this webinar with the marketing director of Equity Trust. Does anyone know what Equity Trust is? Equity Trust is a self-directed IRA company. And I did a webinar with Edwin, who's the marketing director of the company the other day, about Jacksonville, about what we do. And he was blown away. He's buying properties up in Ohio, low-growth Midwestern states, so he was blown away by the opportunity that Jacksonville presents. So I hope you guys learned a lot and you got a lot of good new information out of it. I'd like to bring back up Adam Eisman. He's going to bring us another one of our investors and answer some more of you guys' questions.
Thank you, guys. Pretty informative presentation, right?
Yeah.
Some nice little nuggets there.